I hope you are ready for another action-packed episode of our Creative Alphabet series. This time we will build the letter D with a twist, creating an awesome optical illusion. Like always, before I jump into Illustrator when it comes to designing something, I like to do some quick sketches. I do my sketches digitally, usually in Procreate, and you can see here first the rough drawing and then a little bit more detailed drawing. By holding down things in Procreate, I can keep my lines straight and I can even create nice curves. And then quickly fill in the details with different colors just to have a feel for how this twisted optical illusion will look like on this letter. I was inspired to do this particular tutorial by the game called Monument Valley. Here's a few gorgeous screenshots from the game. If you haven't played it already, I highly recommend to try it out because as a designer or illustrator, you can get a lot of inspiration from it and also learn about how to create these interesting optical illusions. So you can see I already selected a font that I'm going to work with. This is Gotham Bold Regular. And to be able to work with it properly, I will have to outline it. So we go into the Type menu and choose Create Outlines. There's also a shortcut, Command or Control Shift O. So when we look at it in the Layers panel, it's going to be a compound path. Now the reason why it's not a single path, because it has the counter or that empty space in the middle. So it's actually made up of two separate paths joined together. It's useful to know how you can separate paths from within a compound path. I usually use the keyboard shortcut Command Option Shift 8 or Control Alt Shift 8 on PC, but this is also something you can find from the Object menu, Compound Path Release. So when you do this, you will get two separate paths. There's the one in the middle and then the large one, which was our outline. But we don't need to do this, so I'm going to go back and keep it as a compound path. Maybe I'm just going to remove the group. So I will use Command or Control Shift G shortcut, because I prefer to keep things as simple as possible in the Layers panel. And then I'm going to move this a little bit down and duplicate the whole thing. By holding down Alt or Option key, I will click and drag to create the duplicate. Now I will change the color of this just so we can see it better. And then I would like to align it perfectly on top of the other letter. So if I press Command or Control Y, you can see that these two lines are perfectly aligned. So once again, this is the shape that we have on top. And when I drag it back, you can see how it's going to snap into place. Now let's zoom out a bit and then Command or Control Y go back to the normal view. I will select both of these objects and then press Shift M to get to the Shapebuilder tool. Now what I would like to do is to join these details together. So from here at the bottom, I will start drawing over these details and it will become a single separate shape. At the moment, it inherited the same color, so it's a little bit hard to see what's happening. But if I select it separately with the Direct Selection tool, I can pick a different color. And immediately it's starting to look interesting. So the two shapes are starting to merge or intertwine with each other. But when I look at the Layers panel, I can see that there's an additional shape that was created when I use the Shapebuilder tool, which I can move to the side. And this is the leftover from one of the letters, but I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm actually going to use it. Since we need this rectangle here, I will place it all the way to the top. That was Command or Control Shift right square bracket to quickly drag it or place it all the way on the top in the stacking order. And then I'm going to place it somewhere around here. Now let's zoom a little bit closer. I want to align it to the left edge or the right edge of this shape. Easiest way to do that would be to use a ruler, align it to this point here, and then now we can just align and snap to that ruler. Now let's select this shape and drag it up a little bit, so we need to go further out that way. Then select that other shape behind. Once again, use the Shapebuilder tool, that's Shift M, and combine these details together. So I will just draw over them, and like before, I'm going to select this shape and change its color. Now I can also select the leftovers and delete them. We don't actually need those. And if you've done everything correctly, you would end up having three separate objects. This yellow one here ended up being a compound path, but because there's no gaps or hollow spaces inside it, it doesn't have to be a compound path. Again, simplify whatever you can. So use the shortcut I showed you before, Command Option Shift 8 or Control Alt Shift 8. And then we have 3 separate paths. Now it's time to get rid of this guide, we don't need it anymore. And it's time to also make the colors a bit more interesting or pleasing. So I will select these shapes together and click on the Recolor Artwork option here on the top. There I can go into the edit option and even choose harmony rules, maybe use a nice split complementary color setup and then start moving these colors around. Maybe something like this will work quite nicely. Yeah, I quite like that one. Let's click OK. We can always come back to it and make changes later on. By the way, if you want to learn more about color harmonies, recently we published a video on the channel which started talking about color theory, and there's a lot more coming soon as well. So in case you don't want to miss them, make sure you subscribe and also hit the little bell icon to get notified whenever we release new content. Before we continue, I just wanted to let you know about our creative membership program. For a small monthly fee, you get access to over 200 hours of Adobe certified online training courses. Master all the tools and skills needed to become a professional graphic designer or illustrator. As a pro member, you will get mentoring from me and my team, access to webinars, student forum, and creative briefs to help you build an outstanding portfolio. Pro members can also download the project files for all of our YouTube tutorials. Sign up at yesimadesigner.com/memberships and start your free trial today. And now let's head back to the tutorial. But let's jump back and fix this design, because if we zoom closer, you will see that there is actually one detail that needs to be refined, and that is the continuity between these two curves. So at the moment, there is a little dip there, which we need to refine and keep straight. Now, to make this work, I will first of all drag a guide out from the left ruler and align it to this anchor point here. So that's the furthest to the right the curves go. So this guide is tangent to the curves. And then I am going to use the rectangle tool, find this other point here on the curve where it says intersect. There's the anchor point of the curve. So that's the point furthest to the right. So from there, I'm just going to draw the shape and come down all the way here once again where it says intersect, and then just draw it to the left until it's covering that space that we need to fill. Now I'm going to fill this shape with the same color as the color on the top. By using the eyedropper tool, I can just click on that. The shortcut for eyedropper, by the way, I was using is I. And then I am going to now set this back a bit by using Command left square bracket. I can push it down until it goes behind that shape. Now, if I want, I can even keep this as a separate object, but I like to tidy things up. So first of all, I will get rid of the guides. And then we need to copy this shape. So we will need a duplicate. Selecting it, I can press Command or Control C and then Command or Control F, which will paste it on top of the previous shape, exactly in the same position. Then I can shift click on this other shape and I can shift click on this other little rectangle that we added. Now, pressing Shift M, we jump back to the Shapebuilder tool, and with that, all I need to do now is to hold down the Alt or Option key and remove the details that we don't need. So this whole big shape here we don't need. Also, this one we don't need here. And then we just need to merge the remaining elements by simply drawing over them. So if I zoom closer, you will see this better. I will just draw over these to connect them and merge them into one. And we can also merge into these. Now at the moment it looks like we messed up the colors, but because I had it already saved as a swatch, I can just jump back to that color we had originally there. But now when we take a look at this detail here, now it's perfectly straight, exactly how I imagined it. And last but not least, to add a little bit more three-dimensional feel to the whole design, I am going to select this point here on that blue shape. So only that corner on the left using the direct selection tool. And then I will use Shift down arrow maybe twice and then select this other point all the way at the bottom on the other shape and use Shift up arrow twice. But you can see that there was no breakpoint there to stop this detail moving. So we have to just go back 2 steps and get another guide here in place. Then zoom closer, select this shape, and using the Add Anchor Point tool, I can just click on the intersection point there. So that's going to stop the rest of the shape moving when I select this anchor point again and use Shift Up arrow twice. So that's 20 pixels moved up. But actually we need to move it even further than that. I just realized this point needs to go all the way up here. And in these cases, you can even just delete the anchor point. Using the pen tool again, just setting it to delete anchor point tool, we can remove that point, and that way it creates a perfect straight line without no interruption. So now zooming back, this is how it looks. And I feel like we should have the same angle here on the top. And to get that right, I'm going to use a shape. It's like a placeholder shape with which I measure this distance and then just drag it up, place it here, then just stretch it out, drag it onto the other side, and then I can select this anchor point and drag it down until it snaps to that point there. So this way I know exactly it went down the same distance that the detail at the bottom. So we have exactly the same angle on top and at the bottom. Now it's time to get rid of this guide and take a look at the final design. I like it. I think it looks quite nice, but we can create an alternative version for this with maybe a different color setup. So I'm just going to duplicate the whole thing, group it together just to make sure it doesn't fall apart, and then select it, go to the Recolor Artwork option. Let's go into Edit and maybe try a different color harmony. This time I will choose Enlow Colors and drag it further down towards here. Yeah, I think that looks interesting, but then I will remove the restriction of the harmony and I will probably make this one a little bit darker. So that's, I think, is the point at the bottom. If I make it darker, it's just going to add a bit more contrast to the design. Now we can jump back into the Assign tab where it's a little bit easier to see what we are selecting. So we have these 3 colors used, and this is the brightest color, which is on the top, which we can again make slightly brighter, either by adding more saturation or just removing the saturation. I think is going to work better this time. By the way, here in the Assign tab, there's also another really useful option. Whenever you select a color, if you're not sure which one you are making changes to, you can just tap on this icon here, with which you can find it within the artwork. When you turn that off, you can see the adjusted colors. And if I select another one, again, we can check where that is in the artwork. The Recolor Artwork feature is a very robust tool within Illustrator, and there's so much things you can do with it. If you want to learn more about it, I have a separate tutorial which covers all the features in great detail. So after finishing this one, don't forget to check it out. The link is in the description below. But the best thing about this method was that we ended up having a very simple design made up of 3 simple parts. If you want to master Illustrator and really learn all the advanced techniques through creative examples like this one, you might want to join our newsletter. Again, the link is in the description below. And once you do that, you will be notified when my course is going to be released, where I will create all the letters in the alphabet using different creative techniques in Illustrator, Photoshop, and Procreate. Thanks a lot for watching. Like and share this video if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified whenever we release new videos. Click on the link on my right and start your membership today to get access to over 200 hours of training courses and personal mentoring by me and my team of creative professionals. Have fun learning, guys, and I will see you in the next one.